A tale of love and resurrection. Jesus wept. In the small village of Bethany, nestled just outside Jerusalem, lived a family dear to Jesus' heart. Lazarus and his sisters, Mary and Martha, were known for their hospitality and unwavering faith. Their home was often filled with warmth, laughter, and the rich aroma of home-cooked meals, a sanctuary for Jesus and his disciples during their travels. As the sun rose over the Judean hills one fateful morning, an air of unease settled over the village. Lazarus, the beloved brother and friend, had fallen gravely ill. His sisters, renowned for their strength and faith, found themselves in a struggle between hope and despair. Mary, ever contemplative, knelt in prayer, while Martha, practical and proactive, cared for her ailing brother with tireless devotion. The illness and death of Lazarus. Martha paced the room, her heart heavy with concern. "We must send for Jesus," she declared, her voice tinged with urgency. "He loves Lazarus and will come to heal him." Mary nodded, her eyes glistening with tears. "Yes, he will come. He must." A messenger was dispatched, carrying their plea to Jesus, who was teaching across the Jordan. Days passed with agonizing slowness, and each hour seemed to drain a bit more life from Lazarus. His breathing grew labored, his skin pale and clammy. Despite their prayers and ministrations, his condition worsened. When the messenger finally reached Jesus, the disciples watched as a look of deep sorrow and resolve crossed their master's face. "This illness will not end in death," Jesus said, his voice filled with a mysterious assurance. "No, it is for God's glory so that God's Son may be glorified through it." Yet, he did not immediately depart for Bethany. For 2 more days, Jesus remained where he was, teaching and healing others. The disciples, puzzled by his delay, dared not question him openly, though they shared their concerns among themselves. Meanwhile, in Bethany, the inevitable came. Lazarus breathed his last, and the house was plunged into mourning. Mary and Martha were inconsolable, their hearts shattered by the loss of their brother. Friends and neighbors gathered, offering condolences and sharing in their grief. Jesus' arrival in Bethany. On the 4th day after Lazarus' death, word reached Mary and Martha that Jesus was approaching. Martha, ever the woman of action, rushed out to meet him. Her steps were fueled by a mix of hope and reproach. "Lord," she cried when she saw him, "if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But I know that even now God will give you whatever you ask." Jesus looked at her with compassion. "Your brother will rise again," he said. Martha, her mind swirling with theological truths, replied, "I know he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day." Jesus' gaze intensified. "I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die, and whoever lives by believing in me will never die. Do you believe this?" Tears streaming down her face, Martha affirmed, "Yes, Lord. I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, who is to come into the world." Martha then returned home to call Mary. Whispering, she told her sister, "The teacher is here and is asking for you." Mary, surrounded by mourners, quickly got up and went to Jesus. The mourners, thinking she was going to the tomb to weep, followed her. When Mary reached Jesus, she fell at his feet, sobbing, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." Jesus at the tomb. Seeing her weep, and the mourners with her, Jesus was deeply moved. He asked, "Where have you laid him?" "Come and see, Lord," they replied. As they walked to the tomb, a cave with a stone laid across the entrance, Jesus wept. The sight of his tears caused whispers among the people. "See how he loved him," some said. But others questioned, "Could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying?" Reaching the tomb, Jesus, once more deeply moved, commanded, "Take away the stone." Martha, ever pragmatic, hesitated. "But, Lord, by this time there is a bad odor, for he has been there 4 days." Jesus gently reminded her, Did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God?" Trusting him, they rolled away the stone. Jesus looked up and prayed, "Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I said this for the benefit of the people standing here, that they may believe that you sent me." The miracle. Then, with a voice that resonated through the very depths of the tomb, Jesus called out, "Lazarus, come out." A hush fell over the crowd. For a moment, all was still. Then, shuffling sounds echoed from within the darkness. Slowly, Lazarus emerged, his body still wrapped in grave clothes, his face covered with a cloth. "Take off the grave clothes and let him go," Jesus commanded. A collective gasp arose, followed by shouts of joy and disbelief. Mary and Martha ran to their brother, tears of sorrow now transformed into tears of joy. The impossible had happened. Their brother, once dead, was alive again. The aftermath. The news of Lazarus' resurrection spread like wildfire. Many who witnessed the miracle believed in Jesus, recognizing him as the Son of God. But others, fearful and threatened by his growing influence, reported the event to the Pharisees, setting in motion the final chapter of Jesus' earthly ministry. In Bethany, however, the atmosphere was one of celebration and renewed faith. Lazarus, a living testament to Jesus' power over death, shared his experience with all who would listen. His return from the grave became a beacon of hope, a tangible proof that in Jesus, death is not the end. Mary and Martha's home, once filled with mourning, now overflowed with gratitude and worship. They had witnessed firsthand the truth of Jesus' words, "He is the resurrection and the life." Their brother's miraculous return was not just a restoration of life, but a profound revelation of the divine promise that death holds no victory over those who believe in him. As the sun set over Bethany, casting long shadows over the hills, the village echoed with songs of praise. The story of Lazarus, once bound by death but now free, became an enduring testament to the power and love of Jesus Christ. In him, they found the ultimate assurance that death is not the end, but rather a passage.